AITA for purposefully extending my holiday so I am not in the country for my son's first birth? My son's first birthday is a couple of months. My son was born very early and spent the first couple of months in NICU. To say it was traumatic is a bit of an understatement. There were times my partner didn't know if he would get to bring me or son home. His birth happened very quickly. I went in for a checkup and ended up being kept in and taken for an emergency C-section. The closer it has gotten to son's first birthday, the more it is bringing up the trauma of what happened. My side of the family are wanting to do a big get-together to celebrate his birthday because we never got to do a baby shower or celebrate his birth together. When he did come home, we wouldn't tell them to all come at once. We actually told them we came home a week later than we did. Repeatedly said that we aren't planning on doing anything for his birthday. When son came home, my partner booked us a few days away before his first birthday as we thought he would be off his home oxygen by then. As my family don't seem to understand that we don't want to do anything for son's first birthday, we made the decision to extend our holiday so that we now come home after his birthday. My family are now furious that we are away for son's first birthday and are claiming we are ruining son's birthday for them. My mom has even told me I am being selfish by not allowing her to spend son's first birthday with him. She's even said that she didn't raise me to Bethy's horrible to my grandparents, not her parents, they are my dad's parents, as they may not be around to celebrate a second birthday with son. AITA for purposefully extending my holiday so we're not around to celebrate son's first birthday. Edit. Son will be with us on the holiday. Son, partner and I will be together on his birthday. Edit 2. We are getting therapy for the birth trauma. We are just finding it difficult to find closure in everything until we get some test results back. Depending on what the results of these tests are, they can have an effect on any future children we decide to have. They will also tell us if son has inherited a genetic condition from us as he has several medical issues. However, these tests can take a year to come back and they weren't sent off until August.
AITA because I kept my ex-girlfriend's dogs? My ex and I split up last year in the summer. She took off with some guy and left me with her dogs. I managed to get a hold of her and I asked her what to do with the dogs. She said she wasn't coming back and that I should rehome them. Since I already take them to the vet and stuff, it wasn't difficult to get the chip transferred to my name. And I paid the dog registration fee name this year. So now I have 2 dogs that are well trained and wheel ready like each other. I guess things didn't work out for my ex because she is back in town. She saw me and my girlfriend out walking my dogs and she is unhappy. She said that I was supposed to rehome them, and since I got them for her, then she had the final say on their disposition. She says that I'm an AmItheAsshole for keeping something so meaningful from our relationship. I just like the dogs more than I liked her, to be honest. But I don't think I'm the *asshole for not putting my dogs in a situation where they might get put down or adopted by someone who isn't a good match for them.
AITA. Am I the *asshole for letting my toddler watch the neighbor mow the lawn? My toddler, 1.5 meters, and I, 25F, were playing the front yard today trying to enjoy what little sun we'd been having and get some fresh air. We live in a cul-de-sac so we can see everyone's front yard from ours. The neighbor's teenage daughter, maybe around 15 years old, comes out with her lawnmower and gets to work on her yard. She lives directly across the street from us. My son loves watching the world go by. He often watches the older kids play on the street and they always interact and say hi to him. So he runs to our fence with his little juice box and sits down in front of the gate so he can watch her mow the lawn. He wasn't always watching her. Sometimes he'd just start picking the dandelion sand, throwing them around our yard, but most of the time he'd just sit and watch quietly. I kept my eye on him because it's a low fence and he'd never let him play out front not supervised. I've read horror stories of parents letting their kids play put front and getting snatched. I was also just plodding around the garden and looking into my veg boxes to see what's growing. She kept looking over at my son and then going to work. I watched her walk over to my fence and she started screaming how it's creepy my son watching her, and I need to teach him from a young age not to stare at women or else he'll grow up and be a creep. I got up right away and grabbed my son and apologized and tried to say he's just curious what you're doing, but she kept screaming at me because she doesn't like to be watched. I scooped my son up. Was crying at this point, what baby wouldn't cry being yelled at, and hurried to the backyard so he could play there. She left while angrily muttering to herself about how I'm a bad mother and my son will soon be a creep. I'm now feeling really bad about letting my son watch her mow the lawn, and maybe we shouldn't play on the front yard anymore. So am I **asshole for letting my son sit and watch?
AITA for not helping my wife with the kids when she wanted to keep them home from daycare and I have to work? So my wife and I have 2 kids. One who is a bit over 2 years old and another that is 5 months old. I work Monday to Friday 9 to 5 from home, occasionally go into the office. My wife is on maternity leave and taking care of the 5-month-old. I take care of the baby for overnight wakings and feedings. The 2-year-old is in daycare. Whether I send my kid to daycare 1 day or 5 days a week for 1 hour or 8, it costs the same. My wife likes to pick up our toddler from daycare around 3:15 every day instead of letting me go when I finish work because she doesn't want our kid to be there so much during the day. The problem is I am left watching the baby for 45 minutes while she is gone, and then for the hour that she is taking care of both of them she gets overwhelmed, stressed, very annoyed at me and our kids. It's just not great overall. Every day my wife tells me that she is exhausted. She has no time to herself, she doesn't get things done that she needs to, she's overwhelmed, just wants to relax when the baby naps, etc. I try to help out with the baby during the day when I can, like feeding and putting him down during my lunch break. I just try to be available day if my wife needs me. Anyways, on to the main point of this post. Last night my wife tells me she wants to keep the toddler home from daycare today. I told her that I didn't think it was a good idea. How was she going to feed and put the baby down for a nap while taking care of toddler? She already gets stressed and overwhelmed just looking after the baby. Put herself through more stress? I told her that I could not take the day off of work and she would be the one taking care of both kids. She said she really wanted to spend time with both kids and felt like she doesn't see our toddler enough. Fine, no problem. If she wants to do this, it is up to her. I reiterated that I would not be around to help. Cut to this morning, I got up at midnight and 4 a.m. to take care of the baby. I get both kids ready and made breakfast for everyone. I start work and sure enough, 20 minutes after I started, I hear my wife trying to tell our toddler that she just needs to go in the other room to put the baby down for a nap. Of course the toddler doesn't want to leave her side. Toddler starts crying. I can hear my wife getting frustrated. Finally leaves to put baby down and comes back. She now has to juggle going back and forth trying to settle the baby by putting the pacifier back in, where starting some sleep training, and the toddler who wants all of her attention. Finally baby gets settled, wife is obviously stressed and tired and it is 9:45 a.m. She comes into my office where I am working and asks did I not hear her struggling? Why did I not come and help? AITA for telling my wife I told you so, that I said I would not be around to help and this is what you get. That she should have let me bring our toddler to daycare? AITA for refusing to help my mom now that her husband is sick and throwing the past in her face when she pleaded with me? My mom and I, 25F, have a contentious relationship. We have been mostly estranged for the last 7 years. I say mostly because she has made some effort to stay in touch while I faded away. My dad died when I was 4. Mom and him were not married but they were together. She leaned heavily on my dad's family for a couple of years. Then she moved us away so she could start a better life for us. After moving, met John and married him. I was told, more than once, by John and my mom, that John was now my father and I was told to call him dad, refer to him as dad with others, and not to correct anyone who used the term dad, father. I was to correct those who said he was my stepdad. I didn't want to do this but I was punished and John yelled at me multiple times for disrespecting his love, and I was berated and told he was stepping up to take me in as his daughter and the least I could do is to respect him as my father. When my mom gave John children, it became very clear he never saw me as his. I was treated differently. I was not given the same anything. Yet the rules remained in place that I call John dad and would get punished for any instance of not. Always took his side, always backed him up, always agreed that he deserved some kind of respect for this stuff. I still have some bitterness over this. I didn't want John to be my father, but at the very least if I'm going to be forced to address him as such and to correct people who spoke the truth, I felt like I should have been treated better at least. But that didn't happen and I moved day I turned 18 and stopped speaking to or seeing my mom and John. She would reach out, sometimes I would read or listen to hear speak. But I felt good not having them around. Now John has been diagnosed with a neurological condition and my mom is caring for him. She asked me to come and help her. To help him. To help out their children. I refused. She told me they needed me, and I'm their daughter. I told her I didn't care, I wouldn't help, and after everything they had done, they deserved nothing from me. I told her she failed me as a mother and as far as I was concerned they were already dead and buried and nothing to do with me. She said I was being unfair, holding on to the past too much and lacking in compassion. She tried to tell me, think of the good times. I told her she failed me. She forced me to say stuff I didn't want to say as a kid in order to appease her husband who didn't treat me like his kid anyway. A family friend reached out after the disagreement and told me I should be ashamed, and while they were imperfect back then, they are still my family, and I piled on a woman who is doing the hardest job imaginable. Caring for a sick loved one, AITA?